Hi again, friends. I hope all is well with you and that we can hear and perceive each other. I'm doing my damnedest to push through this Eclipse live. There's just been a few obstacles: poor sleep, technical difficulties, distractions, my cat's acting weird. And I woke up at 5:20 in the morning with just the worst headache going from my shoulder all the way into the right side of my head, waited like an hour, and then checked my phone, which always makes your headaches worse. Took 4 Advil. I went back to sleep, got up at 11 o'clock. How crazy is that? That is not my style. I'm way more organized than that. Hi, Charlotte. Hey. All right. So we're doing the Eclipse live today, but I just wanted to say there's been some pretty nice response to the steady YouTube lives. I'm really, really glad about it because we get to upload the things that we talk about and I get to answer your questions. And this has been on hold since around January. So finally, on Wednesday, we're going to dig into how to live with a huge penis, advice, meditations, and wisdom for men who have too much by Dr. Richard Jacob and Reverend Owen Thomas. All right, when I saw this book, I thought it was a joke, like a not that it's a laughing matter. I thought that it was a joke book. You know how they have those ones where it's like everything men know about sex, and then you open it and it's just blank pages. I love watching your lives whilst I'm working or cleaning. So lovely not to fill my brain with rot. Thank you so much. That's funny because when I started uploading to YouTube, my best friend lived in Munich. She was in Germany, and she would say, please keep putting stuff up more often because I did it like once a month back then. And she said, it's like you're in the room with me when I'm studying or working or cooking or cleaning. Like you said, she goes, it's like you never left or I never left. So it was really funny. So I'm glad that I could be a part of your daily experience. That really fills my heart. But anyway, it turns out it's a real book and we know it is a real problem. And it touches upon psychological harm and issues with intimacy and relationships. And I have had some DMs regarding, hey, like when are you going to do that? And I have found men are more likely to DM you. Obviously, they don't want to leave public comments, or sometimes they do, and then they quickly delete them once you've perceived them. So that's totally fine. We're here to learn. She's here. She's alive. She's with Faith. Thank you. I am 45 minutes late, but I made it. Oh, an hour and 45 minutes late, but I made it. So I thought we could start with a reading from Neville Goddard's my very well loved copy of Your Faith is Your Fortune. And thinking, well, speaking of faithfulness, what we can discuss first before we get into the astrology stuff is perhaps the spiritual elements, all right? Because people are so fear mongered by the eclipse. And that's not to say that there aren't things that you could do to be more cautious, make better decisions. I feel like a mom, I feel like a teacher. Make good decisions. Okay, make good decisions, children. Listen to mom. Listen to your mommy. Listen to mother, aunt there. But ultimately, there's obvious things you shouldn't do. So, rundown of what not to do. Sharp objects. Work with sharp objects. Being outside. Pregnant women and children under the age of very young, I would say under grade 1 or 2, maybe 6, 7 years old, shouldn't leave the house. It's weird energy. They're vulnerable members of society. We just don't want them bathing in eclipse energy. Don't look at the eclipse. Don't go outside. Don't go to a party and look at the eclipse. It's inauspicious. And not every eclipse is inauspicious. This one's particularly inauspicious. You have no good reason to be going outside and doing that. I mean, it's going to be on TV. Just sit this one out, okay? Um, Cooking. So they say that food that is prepared on an eclipse should not be safe for leftovers. It should be thrown out. They say that pregnant women shouldn't leave the house, especially if you have to leave the house for whatever reason. Take a salt bath when you get home to purify the energy. All right. You shouldn't be distressed about anything. You shouldn't launch anything new, like a business should not be launched on an eclipse because the results are highly. Oops, I used a jigsaw for the first time today, but I survived. Amon. Um, just things like that. All right. So generally, eclipses produce results we didn't bank on or we couldn't predict properly. So I do have hi Sonic, hi Lulu. So I do have a couple of readings to do, and I'm contemplating if I should do them because I don't want to give knowingly faulty predictions, right? But then again, they're very, very simple, like simple one question things. See, my allergies are going crazy. So anyway, so we have to consider that. So we're gonna do a little reading from Neville Goddard. Wednesday, we're doing the How to Live with a Huge Penis book, and then I'm thinking getting into tantra more, starting with Patreon. Speaking of. Thank you so much to my new members. We're doing a series on curses and hexes and protection this week. It'll be done by the end of this week. But if you want to know more deeply, then obviously you can let me know and we can get into that. We're also going to host a monthly call with patrons. And if it goes well, we could do like a bi weekly call, depending on how we feel about it on Zoom and just talk about whatever. So, how are we feeling today? I know Lulu is a Pisces, Megan as well. So, I'm a little worried. I did reach out to my Pisces friends. Of course, one, I know what's up with her. Another one is an internet friend that I messaged on Instagram this morning. I said, "Hey, I'm just wondering, you're Pisces. Like, are you okay? Are your feet okay? Are your legs okay? I'm just curious." And he said, "Oh, I feel fine. I'm just feeling a little weird. Couldn't really sleep for a few days." And then when I asked about his feet, he said, "I'm exhausted, girl. Let me tell you." He said, "That's crazy." He said, "Feet." He said, "Yesterday I was at my sister's house and I spliced sliced open my big toe and I'm in pain." And I said, "See, it's crazy. Massini, welcome. Was thinking about you and then saw you here live. Yay! You'll live 100 years. 120, God willing, God willing, God willing." Okay, let's begin with a little. So, what did I want to do this for? Should we pick a chapter together? Why? Because slept so bad. I'm exhausted. I slept terribly. Okay, so 2 nights ago, or 3 nights ago over the weekend, I had a dream, very weird dream, like my boundaries were transgressed, but I don't go down without a fight, I'm just like, "Excuse me?" So I was like, "No, no, no." So I fought someone, and I've never been in a fight in my life, like a physical fight. I didn't punch them, but they were trying to take something off me, so I just like I have crazy good boundaries in the astral, probably better than my human life, so that was not a vibe. And then the dream after that dream was me sitting at a table. I was invited, and it was like this circular room. It was like very modern and wealth looking or whatever, just not my style, but still. And I was talking to Bill Gates. And so for four, and he was like, like in his cardigan and shit, and not ripping. I wear cardigans, but still, he was being him. And I kept asking him for 4 hours, "Are you even human?" And he just would be like, "Nah, nah," and he like wouldn't answer me. And I was like, "Why are you involved with this and that?" And he would never answer me. And then every time I tried to reach across and pull up the mask of his human costume to see his real face, he would like jolt or flinch, and his security goons would like come upon me. And I was like, "Just let me touch his arm. I don't think he's real." And he wouldn't show me if he was human or not. So I was just like, "I don't think you're real." And then the dream broke, it like fragmented like a broken mirror. And then I woke up and I was like, I hate nerds sometimes. I really do. Hi, Nazreen. Welcome. Is the eclipse really that big a deal? Yes. Nothing happening from the UK. Yes, he's not. He's not human. We know that. Okay. Don't tell me the lizard allegations are true. Lizard, it could be a bot, it could be Anunnaki, it could be whatever. Actually, one of the things I really want to get into is the Aquarian conspiracy. All right, it's really cool. Okay, personal and social transformation of our time, and I want to pair this series with. I talked about it last time, the New Age Rage by Karen Hoyt. So I think that would be really fun. Anyway, let's do. So yes, we'll talk about the eclipse. Let's do what we can do to divert some of the paranoia from eclipse season. Okay. So first, just a moment of appreciation for my '90s whimsy goth vintage velvet little bell sleeve shirt with a little belly button action. I mean, she's giving the movie with Practical Magic. Sandra Bullock, love her. Okay, and Nicole Kidman, even though her dad's shady, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking we take control of our lives and we be not afraid. So we covered circumcision on Patreon. We covered circumcision in depth. We covered Easter, prayer, the meaning of Christmas, lots of other things. Should we do you shall decree? Who am I? I am he, thy will be done, or no other God, or something else from the bottom of here. 23rd Psalm. What are we thinking? 1 through 7. Let's pick. Iconic. Thank you. It's just a show. It's giving blonde Morticia. I mean, everyone is a Mort. Every woman wants to be adored. Women are meant to be loved. They're objects of worship. Objects of worship. Yes, I said object, not in that way. Don't cancel me. Just get over it. You know what I mean, okay? All right. What are you thinking? What are we going to vote on? Hi, Karina. Karina, help me vote. What chapter are we going to do from Your Faith is Your Fortune? You shall decree. Who am I? I am he. Thy will be done. No other God. We covered prayer on Patreon. 23rd Psalm or Formula for Victory. Pick one. Okay, I'm just gonna tend to my allergies. Excuse me. I know it's not very becoming of a lady, but it is what it is. And then we'll get into the eclipse. So what to think about. Um, no other God. Ooh, four. I vote for thy one. Thy will be done. And you said, what is ooh for? What am I missing? What am I missing? No other God. Thy will be done, and then no other God. The fortune one I can't type. Fortune. Faith is your fortune. That's the whole book. I don't know where the fortune. Unless I said it, I don't remember. Girl, I don't remember. Oh, Formula for Victory. That's the one. Okay, so here we are. Let's start from the top. These go really quick. They're like 2 pages each. I'm not going to read the whole thing, obviously. Thy will be done. Okay, 54, and then we'll do Karina's, and then we'll do Charlotte's. Very quick, and then we'll get into Eclipse. Thy will be done. Not my will, but thine be done. Luke 22:42. This resignation is not one of blind realization. I can of myself do nothing. The Father within me, he doeth the work. When man wills, he attempts to make something which does not now exist appear in space and time. Too often we are not aware of that which we are really doing. We consciously state that we do not possess the capacities to express. We predicate our desire upon the hope of acquiring the necessary capacities in future time. I am not, but I will be. Man does not realize that consciousness is the Father which does the work, so he attempts to express that which he is not conscious of being. Unless I am conscious of being that which I seek, I will not find. God's will is the recognition of that which is, not that of which will be. Thy will be done. See it instead as thy will is done. The works are finished. Unless you are conscious of being that which you seek in vain. Pause. Remember how Neville often quotes D.H. Lawrence's quote when he talks about single people? And he says, don't go looking for love. Never look for love. Those who go looking for love only make manifest their own lovelessness because their focus is on singledom. And honestly, TikTok needs some type of algorithm overhaul. I feel that it targets women. Bars. Bars. It targets women with those nightmare am I the a-hole stories or Reddit posts of, the divorce came out of the blue. And though I'm not underestimating the pain of those women, I've been in Hi Katie, I've been in such a relationship. Many of us, if not all of us, have been in such relationships. Constantly talking about the problem will not make you happy. And it will not bring someone into your life who makes you happy. I swear it's like vibrational warfare. It just makes you wants to make you think that all men are terrible and you can't trust any of them and they're this and they're that. It's like there's got to be someone out there who's decent. If you are decent and you attract what you are, surely that is possible. So again, we don't want to focus on being unmarried and being single. You want to focus on being in the family way, okay? Maybe even pregnant. Pregant. I didn't know I was pregant. I love that show. If you judge after appearances, you will continue to be enslaved by the evidence of your senses. I said this yesterday. I said there's not a shred of evidence to the contrary of how the law of the universe works. People who don't believe that it works only make manifest evidence of the fact that it doesn't work. People who believe it works only make manifest of evidence of the fact that it does work, right? So there it is. To break this hypnotic spell of the senses, you are told, go within and shut the door. Remember, my father's house has many mansions. So go within your mind and shut the door to the other outer world. Let's suppose you want to get booed up, even though it's hot girl summer. I'm not going to go there, okay? And you are single and your phone is dry, and you wake up in the morning and you see that your phone is dry. You ignore the facts. You literally pretend like it didn't happen and you soldier on with your day. Same goes for money, for health, etc. The door of the senses might be tightly shut before your new claim can be honored. Closing the door of the senses is not as difficult as it appears to be at first. It is done without effort. You literally do it as you fall asleep. All right. That's the first part. We love her. That was good. How are we feeling? I live inside my mind palace. Exactly. as you shall, and you should. And then the next chapter, as per Karina's request, was no other God. And then we can get into the astrologer, and we can do readings if you're interested. 59 pages. The next actual chapter. That's so funny. Why am I so silly? Silly goose. I am the first and I am the last, and beside me is no God. Isaiah 44:6. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Deuteronomy 5:6, 7. Thou shalt have no other God beside me. As long as man entertains a belief in a power apart from himself, so long will he rob himself of the being that he is. Every belief in powers, every belief in powers apart from oneself, whether it be for good or evil, will come from the mold of graven image worshipped. And you know what's interesting here? He also says the beliefs in the potency of drugs to heal, diets to strengthen, money to secure, are the values of money changers that must be thrown out of the power. He can then unfailingly manifest that quality. And this is fascinating because Shira 7 went live today. So while I was putting on my face, I was watching it. Amen, Nazreen. And she said something to the effect of when you learn to manifest, you don't actually manifest things at all. And I think that's really true because you just get bored. You get to a certain level, you're not interested anymore. So most people were like, oh, they want, I'm not kidding, I want to be like a trillionaire, right? But the interesting thing is actually more interesting than saying, I want money to buy a house or be secure or have this or that. Just go straight to the source. And so when you say that to people, they think it's impossible to get a house without money. It's impossible to travel without money. It's not. You just haven't believed to the extent where it has manifested for you, it has made the proof available to you because it's limited by your beliefs. There was a lady, I think I talked about her before. She only used to get clients through Facebook. I don't even know how I found her. She's somewhere in Utah. I don't think she does it anymore. This is about like 10 years ago. And she didn't have a job. She had a place to live. And she just realized she wasn't into this stuff. She just kind of realized she could do it, and then she figured it out and found like a spiritual community and understood what she was able to do. And she said, I would just like test the universe. So she said, I wanted to go to Egypt. I wanted it to be for free. I wanted to go for a week and I wanted to have fun. I wanted to go with really good people. I wanted to stop over in London. I've never been to London. And she said in 2 weeks, someone reached out to her and said, hey, we're going. We would love for you to come. It looks like something you would really enjoy. Hey, it's our treat. Like you're our guest. We're inviting you. And she went. Every single thing, like she manifested. And she gave this story about, I wish I could find it. I don't remember her name, but how she met her partner at the time. I don't think they're together anymore, but she said that she wanted someone, she made a list. So she said she wanted him to be a Scorpio, born in November, who is musical. Um, I forget a bunch of other stuff. And she said she had a vision of him coming from the mountains, like being from the East Coast, but moving closer to her, coming from the mountains. She said she wanted him to have siblings because she wanted like sisters and like a second mom, right? A bunch of other stuff. And so for Christmas, like a couple weeks later, her mom, and she said something like, it should look like it was always working out. Like it should look, like the universe was planning it the whole time. Okay. So it should like blow her mind. So she put this on a piece of paper. And for Christmas, she gets a banjo from her mom. So she's like, oh, I need to take banjo lessons. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So she looks at banjo lessons in her city. She finds this teacher and, he's teaching her and they're talking. And she's like, just talking to him. And he's like, oh, my birthday just passed. And she's like, oh, when's your birthday? He's like, oh, it was in November. She's like, "Oh, you Scorpio?" He's like, "Yes." Something about a life path number. She wanted his life path number to match hers. Then she's like, "Oh, like you're from here?" He goes, "No, I'm from the East Coast. Like I moved here." And she's like, "Oh, like what did you move here for?" He's like, "Oh, I just love mountains." And she's like, "What?" So, she's going to these lessons and she's like mining him for information and mining him for data. Turns out he was a volunteer ranger until he got a job as a ranger, and her dad was his coworker for like a couple years and they didn't meet. Then he invited her to like a show and she went with her friend for to watch his band play, and she's talking to the other band members and I think like the drummer's wife or something like that. And they're like, "Oh god, what a small world." She's like, one of them like grew up in the same town as her or something. And he went like that with his hand to point like that he lived at the end of that street. And I was like, I grew up on the end of that street. Like that's how I would describe it to people. And you know how like people practice at the drummer's house because they can't carry their kits around freely. She was like, yeah, mine was at the end of the road. And then he said, yeah, the white house with the blue shutters. And that was her childhood home. So this guy had been in her childhood home, had also been to her dad's house for dinner, seen baby pictures of her, never put it together, and they ended up getting together. So everything on that list came true. And he had sisters. He was like one of, I don't know what it was, like one of three or one of four. And he was the only boy, close with his mom, like everything she put on there came true. But she didn't even know she could like do it. So basically when people say like, "Oh, you need money to do those things." You can just have those things, but to explain that to someone who doesn't believe it is impossible, right? So it's not like anyone's fault. It's neither here nor there. But you'll see that once you start to think that way, this is going to sound crazy, but when I went abroad last summer, I forgot what it was. I got on the plane. Oh my god, okay, so I got on the plane, but before getting on the plane, I had this gut instinct. So I was like, I'm gonna get gift cards. This was in August, September. So like, I'm gonna get gift cards for the flight attendants. So I went to Starbucks. I got $30 worth of gift cards. And then I was on the flight, and when there was like a pause or anything, and I had this feeling of like being helpful, had like a little mystical experience. So I helped this girl. Have you read the Kabbalion? Yes, I have, but it was a long time ago and I don't really remember, to be honest. But I'll reread it. And I helped this girl. I was like, oh my God, it's coming true. I'm like, I'm being helpful. I love it. And I didn't have earplugs. And I always travel with earplugs. I study with earplugs. I got into it after traveling in my early 20s. So I'm like, oh, dang, but that's fine. Whatevs, right? I was slightly annoyed. And I went and um, in the break, went and gave the flight attendants the gift cards for some coffees, and they couldn't believe it. They were like, "Are you a colleague? Like, why would you do that?" And I was like, "Because, like, everyone gets a tip, but you guys don't." And I also just like flying. I had really good experiences as a child. On My parents always took us everywhere, and even like dentists, I've always had good experience with dentists. So like, I don't know, I just like 'em. And then the manager comes out and she starts like asking me if I'm a flight attendant. I'm like, no, I just like wanted to do something. So she's like, okay. So I pass out. And like a few minutes before, they lock everything up and you can't stand up and like the plane prepares for landing, one of the flight attendants comes up to me and she's like, "Oh, we wanted to give you this to say thank you." And it was so sweet. It was like one of those things you get in first class. It was like a cup. I love you, Lufthansa. They're such a good airline. It was a cup with a stuffy airplane, like a kid's airplane. It had like a pen and a sleeping like an eye mask, which I didn't bring, and it had a thing of earplugs, and I got so excited. It sounds so dumb, but when I was at the airport with my mom, I went, "I'm not paying $15 for a pair of earplugs." Like, I just don't want to. I'm one of those people. I just think like, "Why?" Like, explain your pricing system to me just frustrates me, and I manifested that. It's so stupid. So people were gonna laugh and say, "Yeah, but you paid $30 for those gift cards and that was what you paid for the earplugs." No, it was the experience. It was the experience. I couldn't believe it. Like I felt so lucky. Yeah, they're so grateful. They gave me a champagne bottle. I love it. I love it. But I've manifested flying first class twice without paying for it, which is weird. And the person I was traveling with was actually an employee of the airline. And I don't know why, like her vibration was so low that she went up to speak to them a few times. They knew that she worked for them. And they went on the intercom like, and they called. They're like, "Miss so and so, can you please come to the front?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I think we're getting booted off this flight." Because it was like a storm. We were at the airport for about 7 hours and we were not getting put on the plane. And there was famous people in front of us. Who was it? The guy who made oh, it's gonna drive me crazy now. Doesn't matter. I make them goodie bags. That's so sweet. Anyway, popular filmmaker. And I was like, oh crap, we're not getting home tonight. What are we gonna do? And they called me. They're like, we only have 2 seats left. And actually, I remember the lady who worked there. This was in New York. She had a big thing of Egyptian deity, and I was talking to her about like spirituality and stuff. And she went, "You're not obnoxious, like your friend or something like that." And I was like, "But she works for the same airline." She went, "I don't care, but I like you, and there's 2 seats left. If you want to take her, I'll put you on the last 2 seats." And we were there for like honestly from like morning to 10 p.m. And I was about to kill myself. Sorry, delete myself. And then we get put on the plane, but we're sitting far, far apart. We're not together. Okay, we just like barely made it on. Apparently, the plane had too much weight. It needed to be distributed. This woman with a clipboard just randomly walks up to me. She goes, And I look at my friend and she's like, because she's thinking they're going to throw us off the flight. We're freaking out now. It's like storming and everything. And she was like, "We would like you to move you to first class." And I was like, "Okay." And she's like, "Come with me." And I was like, "Okay." And then, yeah, I got champagne and orange juice. It was the stupidest thing. But see, you don't have to. And this is, people will say that's spontaneous. That could have happened to anyone. Didn't happen to the guy beside me. Didn't happen to the person in front of me, behind me, or to this side. It happened to me. So when you, and I didn't do it on purpose because I wasn't really into Neville or anything like that at the time, though I knew about Abraham. I wasn't like actively trying. But the truth is, you don't have to actively try. You just have to be in a good mood. But if you can't, you can strategically just, actually, one guy who uses Neville's teachings, his name is Joseph Ally, Alai, and he has a thing, I think his YouTube is Divine Imagination or something like that. But he teaches it very, very systematically. So you can just do that. So you don't have to fork over the few grand for a first class flight. You can just manifest things. So people will say, "Oh, but that's spontaneous." But if you practice it, it's not spontaneous, you know? If you practice it, things can happen. Miraculous things happen all the time. It doesn't have to be an accident, okay? Moving on. The thieves, the thieves who rob you are your own false beliefs. It is your belief in a thing, not the thing itself, that aids you. So remember, in astrology, when I talk about highly mercurial people, I tell them the creator is greater than the thing created. So you are greater than your manifestation because you can always make another. Yes, I swear I also have the luckiest travel experiences. I get bumped up almost every time I travel first class. You see what I mean? It's just like you just grow to expect it. I also treat travelers really well because I've been a traveler myself. So I just expect the kindness of strangers to aid me. I don't know, I just feel like I expect it. So last year I was walking uphill on that mountain where like I had no internet and I was dying. It's like an hour walk uphill. It was humid. I was like, I'm exhausted. I didn't eat lunch. I was starving. My blood sugar was low. And I said, God's got it. I put my best foot forward, like intentionally. I was like, I'm gonna make it. I don't know how I'm gonna make it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll jump on the back of a mule and just trot up there. I have no idea. I didn't think I just knew God's got it. I maybe walked maybe 15 minutes, not even. And a car just stopped and they went, "You going up? I can take you." And I was like, "Skirt." And I jumped in. I know people think that's crazy, but it's normal where I come from. Okay. And it happened to me not once. The second time it happened to me, I was going downhill. It was my first excursion into town. Overnight, my charger like crackled and popped and freaked me out. And I needed my phone battery. I had no other charger in the house. It's like bare bones. And my cousin was going to call me the next day. So I was like, well, I need my phone to work. I can't go 24 hours without having a working phone, right? Like I don't have internet. So how am I going to get in touch with this person? So I said, there's no umbrella in the house. I didn't have a rain jacket. I didn't have a sweater with a hood. I had no hat, nothing, just like summer clothes. And it was pouring and it was cold. I said, I don't know. I'm just gonna suck it up, you know. The first time it was too hot walking up, this time it's too cold. I walk down and I'm carrying like a garbage bag to throw out. I maybe walked 5 minutes, seven tops, like 5 minutes, literally. And a guy, young guy stops who's like my age. He was visiting from the Netherlands, Nederlanden. And he was like, "Hey, don't walk in the rain. I noticed you don't have an umbrella. I'm not a creep. Like, do you want me to take you into town?" And he wouldn't drop me off in the middle of town. He circled around until we found a store that would sell me a charging cable, which actually didn't have them, but he was really nice. He's like, "Take my number, don't walk back. Like, I'll drive you. It's Sunday, a lot of things don't work." I didn't. I got a cat. Actually, no, I walked back up and I went into a random store. It's like an outlet. So just what they have is what they have. They pretty much have like one of everything, like a thrift store, and they literally had one rain jacket, and I couldn't believe it because the night before I went live, and I was like, "Oh my god, I made $80." And the next day, when I found that jacket, it was to the dollar. It was 80 Canadian dollars. I was like, "That's crazy how things just like line up." It's the most beautiful thing ever. So anyway, so believing that you can't do it is exactly what causes you not to do it, is the premise of this. Realize you yourself are the power you have mistakenly given to outer conditions. I can't do that because of the economy, the housing market, the dating market, Hinge, Tinder is to blame, baby mamas, baby daddies, all women are this, red pill men that. If you want your ideal partner, if you want the love of your life, why are you listening to those things? They don't apply to you. Men overseas. I'm with you, Megan. Men overseas are something else, okay? But I think there's some good ones here. Like my friend is from Texas, and every time every time I see a nice, like, I was like, oh, I kind of want that in a person. I don't want like a city slicker. They're just like not my thing. I want like a strong man, who's calm and like humble and hardworking. He doesn't have a massive ego. She's like, oh, they're all over Texas. They probably have pew pews and they go hunting and they'll like bring you a pheasant or something. And I'm just like, I don't know anything about pheasants, but if you can roast it like a chicken, I'll figure it out. Karina knows. Karina had the time of her life meeting gentlemen. That's what I'm telling you. You can meet men who actually care about women. You can meet men who actually like women and like care about your safety. It's totally possible. Plus, I'm like that sad hamster. I'm small and I'm sensitive and I cry easily, so I definitely need someone calm. Knowing that consciousness objectifies itself, man must forgive all men for being that which they are. He must realize that they are all expressing that which they are conscious of being. Yes, such great men. Instead of sympathizing with the beggars of life at the temple's gate, he declared, silver and gold I have none for thee, but such as I have, the consciousness of freedom, I give unto thee freely. Stir up the gift within you. Stop begging and claim yourself to be that which you decide to be. Do this, and you too will jump from your crippled slay. You too will jump from your crippled world into the world of freedom, singing praises to the Lord I am. Far greater is he that is in you than he of the world. So, this is why I made a video about conspiracy theories about 3 years ago. You can pay attention to them, but you should by no means put your power in them that something has power over you. They just does not. It's the truth. It doesn't. Your recognition of this fact will automatically cleanse the temple, your consciousness, of the thieves and robbers, restoring to you that dominion over things which you lost the moment you forgot the command. Thou shalt have no other gods but me. That is the God within you, is your divine imagination. Imagination. I, magi. You, the magi. Nation, a nation of magicians, a nation of magi. So, what can the solar eclipse possibly do to hurt you? Nout. Zilch. Nothing. I think that some men act nice, but they're really not. Most men do because that's what people do when you have something they want. But just as we were discussing, if that is your core belief, you will manifest only the evidence of that belief. Okay. I'm also not nice. I can be really mean and I don't know why. I don't take dudes seriously because they don't give me reason to take them seriously. You know what I'm saying? Um, if all you're ever doing is sliding into people's DMs, making like dick jokes, being obnoxious, like why I don't have no reason to respect you. You know what I mean? But if you speak to me with some type of respect and good treatment and care, of course I will show that back, right? It's not just men. We can all act nice. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we've all had jobs. I remember somebody asking once, Monica, how have you like worked here? And I said, never be yourself. Never, ever, ever be yourself. Never be yourself. Because if you show people what you really think and feel, you'll be out of a job in 2 seconds. So you just have to pretend to be something that you're not. Okay. So we're getting into this book this week. Within the coming weeks, we're doing Tantra. And I'm thinking of doing a course on Tantra because I feel there's always so many questions around that. So I'm very excited. Think of how crazy this is. 2 days ago, I don't know if it was on the live or TikTok, I pulled a sun card for myself, right? I put it in the deck. I shuffled it a bunch of times, asked a bunch of questions for today. Around the fourth time, I said, "Let's just give me my card for the day. What is my card for the day for the eclipse?" Boom! I got the sun again, and it's crazy. It's a solar eclipse. If work knew I was a crazy witch, I wouldn't have a job. That's when people ask, "Oh, what are you studying for?" And like, "What do you do? What are you even? What even is that even?" I'm like, "I can't tell you. It will limit my employability severely. Then I'm gonna have to sue you. I'm gonna have to sue you for infringing on my ability to make a living. Okay? Don't do that. It's so annoying. No offense. It's just like it's not you. It's the people that you have to dance around all the time. I find it so exhausting. Just let me be me. God damn. All right, questions about the eclipse. Where were we? We had a few questions. People said what not to do. So I told you what not to do. What can you do? Rest, stay still, don't strain yourself. Um, just take what is that TikTok girl? She's like, hey, take it easy. Eh, take it easy. I'm like, take it easy. Don't do anything. Don't go outside. Don't look at it. Just keep in Jyotish, it's considered very inauspicious to look at eclipses. So we're not going to be doing that. Okay. Anyways, any questions? Isn't this fun? I'm trying to be consistent. I think this is doable. I did the rest. It is 6 p.m. I did nothing all day. Perfect. Oh my God. Hi, sporty. I didn't even send my kids to school. Girl, it was supposed to be a PA day on Friday where they don't have school. They sent an announcement last month saying that due to visibility problems, they're actually going to make them go to school on the Friday and make the PA day the Monday. So literally kids in Toronto are not even in school today. Like literally good call. Not Katie called into work. She's not going smart. You just blew my mind breaking down imagination. Nation is from a Latin word meaning to be born. I imagine, yeah, you're born of your mind. See, in the Bible, it says, die to your old self. So every day you must die to your old self. You must ignore, like, if you want to be married, the single you is dead and the past is dead. If you're divorced, if you got played, those versions of you are dead. They don't exist anymore. You are born new again. Okay. And I always found it so fascinating how Christians actually say born again and they completely miss they completely miss it. Like 99% of Christians don't actually know what their prophet taught. It's crazy. That's mind-blowing. But why are witches always related to the devil's work? Like, do you by any chance know the reason? Because it is because people are ignorant. Christy, yeah. Because it is believed, that men fear the natural closeness that women have to spirit. And so they turned it into something dark and demonic, even though it's not, because they simply could not believe that women could be on the same playing field as them. And what is witchcraft? It's a ritual. Ritual is simply a means by which you get what you want. If you're hungry, cooking is a ritual. If you want to be fit for hot girl summer, you go to the gym. Is that not a ritual? That's why is that demonic or why is that scary? I just lit up a protection candle and it's melting so fast. So famst. Oh my God, so famst. Many famst, too famst. Okay, any other questions? Should we pull a card for the eclipse? Should we pick pile one, two, or three? One, two, three, three. And if let me know if you want readings, we can do something. It's been under 40 minutes. Read When God Was a Woman, Christy. Yes. Why am I read I like reading out the comments. I feel like it makes us all feel included, and it's like the way that God intended things to be. Let's see here. Do I have anything to add? Even if you show them that you're a green witch, they'll see I wouldn't call myself anything. So one thing that happens a lot, I would say in the modern age, but I don't know where you live, but especially in Western cultures, is the identification with things and the labeling of oneself. This doesn't it's not necessary. I don't want to say that it doesn't work. It's just not necessary. And we do like spiritually, obviously we live under a patriarchy, whether we do or not, full stop's up to you. I don't care. Hi Eva. Coxie. And I don't know what it is, the incessant like I'm not saying you do this, but I've just like observed that. It's not well received and it strikes up a lot of resistance. Now, if you know that, don't do that because you're putting that on yourself. Just don't I don't tell people anything. I just tell them some people who know they'll mention, "Oh, like ask her, she'll know about the full moon or something," like in passing, but I never out myself when I'm out. My friends might, and it's really rare, like maybe once or twice a year that will happen. It just like I don't bring that up. If you're curious enough, it will just organically happen. I never like put it out there. I don't really care. And I disagree with guruship. I disagree with groups as well. Not a fan of that. Like group associations. Like everyone should be their own guru, everyone should be their own astrologer, their own whatever, way shower. It's happening on my fifth house and my natal south node. Any advice and special thing for me? Okay. God is a woman. God is a woman. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. The Holy Spirit is a woman. They call it the Holy Spirit and turned it into a gender neutral thing. The Holy Spirit is very much a woman. And Jesus even said that Mary Magdalene was his best disciple. And not only was she his best student, he said she taught him. He learned from her. There's no word on what happened to her. When he was he had 12 disciples. When he was being crucified, Not one was there to be seen. I'm not saying I don't believe they abandoned him. I think that when you love someone so much, you can't cope sometimes, right? The only one who was there was his cousin John. And John is the only one who died of old age. They were all murdered. You know who was at his feet? Mary Magdalene and the Virgin Mother and his aunts. What was her name? It was Mary of Colpus or Coplus. His aunts, his mother, and his wife. Women did, they could stomach it. They didn't leave, they were strong. But they were all women and they were masters, they were spiritual masters. These people are alchemists. These people are alchemists. They're mages, they're magicians. Greatest occultists that have ever lived. Can I do a ritual right now during the eclipse? Not advised. You can, but the results could be unstable and unpredictable. Yeah, you shouldn't care what people think. Well, I live in Ethiopia. I was just trying to make a connection with the little people of nature. They were going crazy. That makes sense. Just don't tell them. Just don't tell them. Just do it. Do it in the privacy of your own world, and that's it. That's how. And also, because I've like been to tantra this year and last year, it's really empowering when people will say it's about having a personal relationship with God. Just leave it at that. If someone asks, just glaze over it, like go vacant eyed or something. Okay, so Nazreen, where were you, Nazi? Fifth house, natal south node. Any advice? Special thing for me. Oh, that's right. You're Sagittarius rising. Okay, health of the mother, well-being, happiness of the mother is concerning. I would make sure she's okay and she has everything she needs. Any kind of damage by water to the home, like plumbing or flooding, spilling a glass of water on something, something like that. Otherwise, I would say in terms of dating for the next few months, it's very possible when you have an eclipse in the fifth or the seventh house that you could attract someone. But the thing is, when Rahu is involved and Venus is there as well, and I do have that YouTube video, Strange Love, Venus and Rahu combination, where I think I did a breakdown Haley Bieber and Justin Bieber or something like that. But you could attract someone who's not really what they seem or not what they say they are, or they can love bomb and come on really strongly and then they flake or they're a nightmare. They're hiding some like bad habits like gambling or addiction or some such thing, right? So just be mindful of that if you're Sagittarius rising or Libra rising. But you can expect to find, a partner within the year. It's happening in my 10th with my Ketu and Venus. So it can change your status in the world. You could change something quite tangible, like a residency, employment, standing. If you go from working at home, you can work in an office or vice versa. Impact on the world. You sometimes it's like a secondary or tertiary indicator. It's not very strong. But when these things happen in the eighth or the 10th house, it can change, very like it can change the status of things. So let's say you go from being a lady to a mother or a girlfriend to a fiance, something like that. So it's not necessarily super evident or romantic, but it is a possibility. I have a Leo boy obsessing over me right now. His Cancer moon is a nightmare. It could be worse. It could be an Aquarius moon. Actually, I don't know what's worse, but I attract a lot of Aquarius moons, Gemini moons in that order. That's like the top thing. I don't know what it is. Um, yeah, I don't know. You'll be all right. I attract Capricorn moons. At least they make money and they're stable, you know, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, guys, are we doing pile one, two, or three? My friend is a Cancer rising and being induced on Wednesday. Get out. I feel like the baby will come beforehand. Yes, because the 10th and the 11th is the exact Saturn Mars conjunction. Is she gonna have a C-section? Because Mars is surgery. Okay. Sporty picked pile two. Rip. You got the tower. Okay. Megan picked pile one. You're gonna travel. Okay. Karina and Nazreen pile. Oh my god. Oh my god, the lovers. Yes, Charlotte. Yes. We're getting loved up. Yeah, 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 yeah. Not the tower. Expect big changes, my queen. Yes, period. Yes. That card never leaves me alone. Yes. Oopsie. I got the sun. I don't even know what that means. And I can't find my oh, it's right here. I've been looking for this book for like 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of this grandpa. That's too damn bad. Oh God. All right. All right, all right, all right. The sun. Attainment and material happiness, good marriage, and happy reunions. Achievements in art, science, and agriculture. Studies completed. Lord have mercy. Ah! And then it said, pleasure in the simple life. Maybe I'll move to the countryside and hunt game. Mm. And her sister is Gemini rising. So again in the 11th, I don't know about a C section, but maybe. If the maid doesn't come, if the baby doesn't come sooner, then maybe just a C section or both. Yeah, it's pretty unpredictable. It's, and eclipses are unpredictable. What do we do now with the lover? Make better decisions. Sun, new beginnings. I'll take a new beginning. I'll take success in my studies. I'll take a good mariage. Okay. The lovers is the power of choice means responsibility. Choice between diverse allurements, the struggle between sacred and profane love. Attraction, beauty, harmony of the inner and outer life. Sun on the solar eclipse. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm unstoppable. You cannot hold a good woman down. I will chew through you like a rat, and I will hide from you like a roach. I cannot be struck against. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Lovers can be choosing a better partner in a more grown-up way. So someone with like a savings account who doesn't gamble. Look, God is good. All right, Megan, Two of Wands, Lord of the Manor, riches, fortune, magnificence, dominion, and interest in scientific methods. Yes, go get it, girl. Was pile one the Two of Wands? I don't remember. That's what you got. Yes, it was. Oh my God, we forgot the tower. Sorry, the tower. So who got the tower? Sporty, spoopy, poopy, poo. Where are you? We've got some work to do now. Yay! Overthrow of existing modes of life, conflict, unforeseen catastrophe. We don't claim that. We rebuke it. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Delete, delete, delete. Old notions upset, disruption that may bring enlightenment in its own wake. Selfish ambition about to fall, bankruptcy. No, 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 yeah. Delete, delete. That's not me. We don't do that. By the way, the last eclipse, the full moon one was right on top of my 12th Libra Mars chart ruler. The tower makes sense now. Period. Just answered tanks. Tower self explanatory tanks. Ooh, that's so creepy. Is that moon emojis? Is that what that is? I haven't seen it's so weird. The emojis on YouTube are so weird. That is creepy. Oh, Lord have mercy. Rebuke that as well. I should get some holy water going. Jinx remover. Okay. Well, this was fun. I guess we do have 12 minutes until the hour is up and then it's launch time. I am hungry. I'm big hungry. So, what should we talk about? Thank you to my new patrons. Welcome to Patreon. What else can we do? I was just going to say, I love the weird little moonies. Yeah, they're cutie patooties. They're so sweet. It's like a child drew them, but they actually had skill. You know, it's great. It's so great. Oh my God, someone asked about a ritual. Yes. Okay. So, ritual, that's what it was. Someone asked about a ritual. If you want to, do something sustainable, I don't know, like a meditation, lighting a candle, that's fine. But usually, in terms of summoning something, such as the invocation of a spirit, a demon, the manifestation ritual, etc. Of course, you can try. However, it is noted that it's not favorable just because the eclipse doesn't give us steady results. So things turn out differently. So maybe you'll summon something, but then it doesn't leave you alone, So you don't really want that once your time with them is done. I wanted to ask about the Mars Saturn conjunction this week. So that's on the Wednesday and the Thursday, the 10th and 11th of April, 13, 14 degrees. Saturn is Saturn. Saturn is also, you're not supposed to begin new things, okay, today, because you don't know how they're going to go. So don't like launch a business or start a blog, go on a first date, whatevs. Saturn is the old man. He is wise but feeble, you know, believes in himself. He's quite stubborn and slow moving. And Mars is the opposite. It's a young man who will do first and think later, rambunctious, lusty, irresponsible, and impetuous, tempestuous, impulsive, whatever. So they don't really mix. They're pretty big enemies. Apart from Sun and Saturn, they're like mortal enemies. It's a pretty bad, it's a gnarly combo. And Pisces is a very soft sign. It's also a sign that doesn't do well with boundaries. There's no boundaries. And so there could be issues with things internationally, such as borders, military might. Okay. Mars is uniform profession. So it rules law enforcement, it rules the militia, paramedics, firefighters, cops, etc. So there could be problems, some large scale disasters. And Saturn rules the masses, so things that tend to affect a lot of people. So let's say something like Saturn rules poverty. So something like the economy, obviously, right now. Um, Martial law can. I talked about this at the 2020 conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. Um, but something like this is about bound to crop up. So there's going to be issues with mass things that affect people. So things like mass migration. So already we're discussing this in America. We're discussing this in Canada with the protests of international students that we're having and the housing market crisis, employment crisis, etc. Across Europe as well as possible. But somebody asked, how come it's not a big deal in the UK? Because the eclipse path is across America and just a little bit, it goes through North America, okay? So that's why. So it's going to affect this part of the world the most, okay? So if I drove an hour west of here, I would be able to catch it, but I don't want to, so I'm not going to. It's just an hour west of Toronto. You can go to Hamilton or Niagara Falls, 2 hours away. Anyways, Mars rules the blood, Mars rules the marrow, blood cells, blades, butchers, tattoo artists, um, chefs, all right, things like that. Uh, so I wouldn't get any plastic surgery. You might risk bleeding out, especially if it's something like in your first house, which is where things show up on your body. Sixth house is health. Eighth house is surgery. So be really mindful. If you are a Aries ascendant, for example, then obviously it's in your 12th house. You can have really disturbed sleep, or you could dream of something like ancestors, etc. May they always be with you, of course. And today's Monday. You should do tarpanum today. You should offer a glass of water, a white candle, like a tea light candle, in the south area of your home, and some black sesame seeds. I meant to show this on Patreon last time, but I missed it. Just some regular black sesame seeds. Okay, they love that. They love that, or whatever else. You make a cup of coffee in the morning, leave a cup out for the ancestors. You eat a cupcake, you bring an extra one for the ancestors. Obviously, don't leave it overnight. You're going to attract ants or something. But okay. So that conjunction, generally when people have it in a birth chart, it's a lot of stop and go energy, and it's very, very frustrating. It's like one step forward, two steps back. So Mars wants to go out and get things done, attack things, make them happen. And Saturn's like, hold on. So you get a bunch of stuff done. Say you're preparing for a business, you get your posters printed and everything. And then the print shop has a malfunction. There's a jam in the printer, an event is coming up, you're supposed to launch, and then you stress. But then it works out, you bring and you set up, and then you find out they got the contact information wrong. It's like just annoying, but it's persistent. Also, it gives people the opportunity to hyper focus on something. So let's say another thing I've noticed, I have it. I think Katie might too. I can't see. Oh, LOL. Yeah, you both have Saturn Mars conjunctions. Yeah, yes. So what it will do is Saturn rules focus, so it'll cause hyper focus in a person. Let's say again it's in the first house, you're a Pisces rising. So you could hyper focus on your appearance, and then you do something impulsive like get something injected or cut out of your face, and then you grow to regret it pretty badly. Um yeah, I do, but Saturn is kind of far. I think yours is closer. So what will happen is hyper focus. You'll focus on your appearance or you'll focus on your work life, you'll focus on something, let's say. And what it will do then is it will eat up your attention, eat up your time to the degree that you are unable to do other things. And then you will completely burn out and then you will become very apathetic and just be motionless. So when I see this in people's birth charts, they often will be extremely active or extremely inactive. It will always be, every time I've asked, it has been an extreme manifestation of one of the two. And it can be mental focus. Like I've seen that in architects or people who study a lot and process vast volumes of information. Like I know Megan's very educated. Katie's extremely learned. She's always learning. She's like, you're taking like 2 courses now. She knows everything about, like, when she fixates on something, she'll just like download it like very, very rapidly and intensely. And then I've seen people write me who say I literally do like tough mudder or some strong woman or something. And they'll say I run marathons till my toenails fall off. Like I haven't had a toenail since 1996. Like can't slow me down, So they subject themselves to extreme endurance training. And then on the other hand, I haven't had as many, but a very few amount of clients who say, "Oh, I don't do anything. Like I'm a sloth. I'm a slob. I don't exercise. I don't diet. I don't care." They're just like snoozing, which I'm guessing their Saturn's a bit stronger than the Mars in that case. But yeah, 10-degree orb. Okay, so and just another thing I would consider is things like clutter. If you have been feeling stuck and cluttered, I would get rid of those things. So depending on where you have Pisces, maybe it's in your 11th house, okay? You're a Taurus rising. So get rid of some friends that don't need to be in your life because Saturn rules excretion from the human body. So hi Maria. So it could be, let's say, so he rules actual like waste management plants, recycling, janitors, cleaners, street sweepers, sewage systems. Okay, he rules like basically whatever the human intestines are, then because it's responsible for the excretion process in society. So getting rid of things effectively. So let's say you're not leaving the house this week so much, go through some old stuff, donate it, throw it out, whatever. If you have a weak Mercury, why not donate clothes on Wednesday when this conjunction takes place? And let's say it's affecting your work life. It's a good work life remedy. All right. Whatever. You're having problems in your relationship. It's in your seventh house. Go make an offering to Saturn. Donate it on the Saturday around sundown to your local like thrift store or charity shop or something. Right. So just make it work for you. See, what you need in your life, but you're basically cleaning things out, and it doesn't have to be a physical offering. It doesn't have to be a physical remedy. What if it's, thought processes that don't serve you, victim mentality, trying to fit in, trying to find approval from the outside world, trying to belong somewhere. You belong with yourself. You're God's child. You don't need anything to prove that to you to be. Like I said yesterday, are you on the chump bench with a chump stamp on your forehead with your chumpy foam finger? Do you really want to be a part of the chump lineup? No. Stand up, live better, do better. So yeah, don't over associate with earthly things. Saturn prefers wisdom. One of my favorite sayings is much better it is to have wisdom than gold. Oh my god, spooky eclipse S. My power just went out for a couple of minutes and turned itself back on. I believe it. I believe it. That happened to me the last eclipse on the 25th. I was sitting on my bed. I was just thinking about something very briefly, and the lights shut off and then turned back on and then flickered and stopped, but right when I thought the thought. So I thought, that's okay. I heard you, so that's fine. I'm tired of this, grandpa. All right, any other questions? um okay, so I'm gonna have a few full chart readings up for this month. I still have some mini solar returns, single topic, and romantic compats. So I'm gonna have to get rid of those, put them back up at full price. What is it, Monday? Maybe Thursday or something like that. I'll give it a few days and then go back to full speed ahead. Full speed ahead. I feel more comfortable with my study schedule so I can make more time for astrology. And of course, the lives are good use of time as well, but I have to also focus on my work as well. Any questions? Thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for coming, for loving on me, for supporting me, especially the emotional support through my studies. I'm so over it. It's not even funny. It's not cute. I'm brought to tears daily when I think about it. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you all I love you. Thank you. Look forward to the Patreon Tantra series. I really want to put out like a course on Tantra. I think you will really enjoy it. I don't know, everyone always thinks of physical intimacy, but it's not like that. It's just like a way of life. It's so wonderful and purifying. I love it. All right, I love you all. Bye for now.